We now have some breaking news for you. Police in Catalonia, Spain, reportedly shooting a man wearing an explosive vest. We are monitoring that situation. Of course, we'll bring you the very latest developments as they come in, as it continues to go on, these stories out of Spain. We do know one suspected terrorist still on the run after last week's attacks in southern Spain. Ryan Mauro from the Clarion Project, who keeps a track on all of this, is here now to talk to us. Based on what we saw last week, Ryan, we know that this was a cell of maybe a dozen, maybe more. We don't know. We know Spanish police are conducting raids. It's very, very disturbing that this cell was able to operate and actually carry out an attack before they were discovered.
Right. What's even more disturbing is how many years have gone by while we knew these extremist networks were building. Right. So you have these extremist networks that may be nonviolent, but then the violent actors come from them because the inevitable result of radical Islamic thinking is radical behavior. And so we have to have a strategy that says, where is the foreign money coming into the mosques? Where are these ideas coming in? Because these aren't Western ideas. They're coming from abroad. And more often than not, it comes back to a little country named Qatar. And I've been disappointed in how the Secretary of State has handled the issue of Qatar, because we had an unprecedented opportunity where Arab countries ganged up on this little country and said, we have had enough of this.
No more funding of terrorism.
And the Secretary of State contradicted the president and kind of sided with Qatar and said, look, they're working on it. We're making progress. No, we shouldn't be bullied by a little country.
But does it take a whole lot of money for a guy to rent a van and then run down pedestrians?
No, but it takes a lot of money to create the mindset that builds that individual. So you have to think of this as a factory. So it's more than just getting the guns and getting the explosives for an attack. You've got to manufacture the people that carry that out. And so
that takes a while, because you're essentially brainwashing a lot of these people. They may have, anti-American feelings or anti-European or any country that's joined the coalition against ISIS. But it takes them. It's a lot involved to get someone to have those feelings and then to actually take action.
Right. It's much more complicated than simply a religious figure saying, I think you should go do A, B, and C, and then someone does it. If you look at what people are saying when they're wiretapped, if you look at the things that they're studying, these are deeply theological, intellectual documents that they use. Because just like when we hear this, we say, well, how can you believe this or that?
Right.
They have the same questions. The problem is they're getting answered. They're getting answered, and we're not fighting that argument. And the bad guys are the ones with all the money, and so their arguments are heard more and more. So in a way, it's almost like rival political campaigns going on, except only one side is getting funded.
Well, we see this continuing in Europe. It's been all over the place: London, Paris, Berlin, now Barcelona, and elsewhere in Spain. So far, Stuart and I and Emac and I talk about this a lot. What's to stop someone driving down Fifth Avenue here in Manhattan? We live in a very open society. There's big crowds. We're in the tourist season right now. It really worries me if I stop and think about it for too long. Is it because our law enforcement is doing such a good job, or is it just a matter of time?
Our law enforcement is very skillful. When you talk to them, though, and you say, look at the size of the threat, and you really talk to people that understand the intelligence, and you say, how is it that we're not getting attacked like every other day? The majority of them, especially if they're spiritually inclined, will say it's a miracle. The rest will say, it's luck that I don't understand. It's not often you'll come across someone that says, oh, it's entirely because we're just so good and we have this figured out.
Wow. That's a bit disappointing, to be honest with you, because they listen to chatter, right, all the time. There was word that the Spanish authorities were given a warning ahead of this particular attack. But, even if you're given a warning, you're not told exactly where, who.
Right.
How can you stop it? And that's always the question it comes down to. How do you stop it?
There are some basic tactical things you can do, but it's got to be at the strategic level and beating them overseas before those ideas and personnel come over here. That's why Afghanistan is really so important. If you're scared at how bad things are right now, watch what happens if we lose Afghanistan. This will look like the good old days. If we lose Afghanistan, you have the 20-plus terrorist groups that operate there, each take a piece of that country, and it appears like we lost. When it appears like we lost, that vindicates the radical Islamic ideology. And those people that are in the middle saying, is this the right way to look at the world? They'll say, well, whoever beat the United States was blessed by God, blessed by Allah, so I'm supposed to follow them. It only takes a little bit of success on the enemy side to breed a whole new generation of radicals.
Well, I'm more depressed than what's going in, but we know the scope of the problem. It's never going to be easy to combat this kind of stuff, and we appreciate your expertise, Ryan. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.